Hey, how's it going? I'm Courtney McBath, and today we're talking about what leadership is not. Want to welcome you today to our conversation about what leadership is not. And right off the bat, I want to encourage you to make sure you're subscribing to our channel. We want you to be able to get every teaching as they come out. And I think today is going to be especially helpful to you. What leadership is not? Well, it's not a title, it's not a position, it's not being boss, and it's not easy. And I want to talk about why those things are true. First of all, let's start with this. Leadership is not a title, it's not a position. Here's why. Because a title can give you authority, but it can't give you ability. Title can give you authority, but not ability. And ultimately, to be successful as a leader, you can't just have authority, you got to have ability. Matter of fact, one of the most dangerous things you can ever have is authority without ability. So that means you've got the right to do things, but you don't know how to do things. So oftentimes people mistake a title or a position for leadership. And while sometimes leadership can begin with a position, John Maxwell always says, but you don't want your leadership to end with a position. So you may start because you've been made a supervisor or you've been made a team leader, but you can't stay there because ultimately that's not what leadership really is. You see, titles can give you respect, but they can't give you trust. And trust is the fuel that great organizations run on. Not respect, they run on trust. So respect is given, trust must be earned. All a title or position can do is give you respect, but it will not cause people to trust you. It takes time, relationship development in order for people to trust you, and that's really what leadership is all about. I often say, as often as you can, call them what they are. As often as you can, call them what they are. What do you mean by that? I simply mean that giving them a position won't make them that. You have to find people doing something and then they get the title because that's what they're doing. I was leading pastors before they called me bishop. Calling me bishop would not make me a leader of pastors, no matter how many titles I had or who conferred it on me. But what you want to do is you find someone in your organization who's leading and then make them the team leader. You find someone else who's managing and make them the manager, because those traits of leadership, they come out long before you ever have a title or a position, because ultimately leadership is not a title, leadership is not a position. Remember, a position might be a decent place to start, but it's not a good place to end, because that's not what leadership is. Leadership is not being the boss. Now, I know that's a paradigm shift for a lot of people, because for most people, that's all leading really is being the boss. If I ask the person, who's my leader, they'd say, well, of course, it's my boss. But bosses are not always leaders. Here's why leadership is not being the boss. Number one, because leading is serving, not supervising. Leading is serving, not supervising. You see, what I've learned as a leader is that while there may be people under my charge, there may be people that see me as their supervisor, but that's not what leadership really is. Leadership is not my ability to get them to do what I want them to do. Leadership is my ability to serve them and to help them come into what destiny has, what fate has, or in the case of believers, what God has for you. So I want to help people come to that, and the more I make that shift, the easier it is for people to follow me. Matter of fact, see, it's all counterintuitive. When you try to be the boss, you keep people from following you. When you stop trying to be the boss and just serve people, it makes people want to follow you, because leaders are not lords. In other words, leaders aren't kings. Leaders aren't, and you could have the title of king, or you could have the title of princess, or you could have the title of Her Majesty, but that doesn't make you a leader in the hearts of people. Because when people see you, just like when you see others, you're not looking for somebody to be Lord over you. You're looking for somebody to lead you, and that means they have you in mind, not just the thing that they want to accomplish. You see, people might obey the commands or demands of a boss, but they will not go the extra mile. You see, if all you are as a boss, all people are going to do is just what they have to do to get by, because they're only doing it because you've taken the position of a boss. But when you lead people, when they see you as serving them, when they see you caring about them, when they see that, you know what happens? Then they want to follow you, because what you've done, remember Kouzes and Posner in their classic book on leadership, when they talked about the different attributes of great leaders, one of those great attributes was inspiring a shared vision. In other words, what I do when I'm the leader and not just the boss is I inspire people with a vision that they can connect to, and that is not only good for the organization, but ultimately is good for them too. Leadership is not a title. Leadership is not a position. Leadership is not just being the boss. Ultimately, leadership is not easy. Leadership's not easy because it requires us to minimize self and maximize others. Leadership is not easy because it's more of a place of servanthood and consequently a place of great discomfort at times. Leadership is not easy because it requires me to make changes. See, being the boss is just making everybody else change. But being a leader requires me to change, and that's not easy. But you can do it. The better you discover what leadership is not, the easier it will be for you to discover what it is. It's not a title or a position. It's not being the boss, and it's not easy. So embrace that today. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. So be ready to do hard. Embrace today that it's not being the boss. So even if they call me the boss, that doesn't make me a leader, because I want to engender trust in people. Ultimately, just because I have a position or a title does not make me a leader. But my ability to inspire a shared vision, to model the way, to enable others to act and encourage the heart, those are the things that make me a leader. My name is Courtney McBath. Today we've been talking about what leadership is not. I want you to make sure that you subscribe to our channel and give us some comments on what you think about today's teaching.